told me to be first, you finished last place. The world showed me one way, I'ma go my own.
What's up guys, and welcome to my OnePlus 7 Pro review. OnePlus was certainly very confident at their event. They said that they think it's the best smartphone of 2019, and that's a pretty bold statement considering that this is only a $669 device going up against $1,100 and $1,200 devices. So the question is then, is the OnePlus 7 Pro actually better? That's what we're gonna find out today. It's gonna be freaking epic. Let's get started. First of all, it has a fantastic price, starting at $669, but it also has a couple different models here, all the way up to $749 for a 12 gig, 256 gig version of the device. That's an insane amount of memory. Probably an excessive amount, except there is a feature on this device that might be able to actually take advantage of that large amount of memory. But we'll talk about that in a bit here. So what are my favorite features of this device? Well, first of all, it's the 6.67-inch bezel-less Quad HD Plus 90 Hz refresh rate. Those are some very impressive stats for a display in 2019. Arguably the best display on any smartphone. Now, one of the big questions regarding the 90 Hz display is it actually noticeable in day-to-day use? And I will say absolutely it is. It really does make the experience more fluid, and OnePlus is calling this the Fluid AMOLED display, and I think it's a very good name for it. You're able to scroll through menus and more precisely tap on what you need to select. Of course, animations are smoother overall, which is really nice. I'd love to see some more smartphones with a 90 Hz refresh rate OLED display. Next, we have the bezel-less design. I love the fact that this does not have a notch or a cutout. It just makes viewing the content and experiencing your games or movies that much more immersive. And then we have the in-screen fingerprint reader. This thing is so quick, and the actual sensor part of the display is now 38% larger, which means that it's going to be easier to consistently get your finger on that fingerprint sensor.
Wow, that's fast.
Wow.
Holy crap.
I'm really loving the in-screen fingerprint reader. The only issue I had with it is that sometimes it wouldn't reliably read my fingerprint, and I think that was my own fault because I think I did more of the tip of my thumb and I need to do more of the flat part of my thumb, which is the way I actually put my thumb on the display when it's being read. I really think the in-screen fingerprint reader is the way of the future. It is a matter of time before all the flagships use it. Now, it would be a travesty not to mention the beautiful blue color on the OnePlus 7 Pro. It is just really, really striking. And oddly enough, it got even more beautiful when I dropped it and cracked the crap out of the back. Maybe that was just me, but I did drop test the OnePlus 7 Pro. I'll have a link at the end of this video if you want to check out the drop test for the OnePlus 7 Pro. Honestly, I didn't like the gray color or the almond color. Really, the blue color was the only one for me. And then, of course, we have excellent performance. This has been the #1 feature on OnePlus devices for a long time now. The extremely optimized Oxygen OS is just really good at opening and closing apps better than other smartphones with the same hardware. There's minimal bloatware, and this time we also have RAM boost, which preloads your most used applications into system memory so that they can be opened more quickly. And of course, this makes me very curious to see how the OnePlus 7 Pro would handle a speed test. So I'll be doing some speed tests with the OnePlus 7 Pro, so be keeping an eye out for that next week. The dual firing speakers are very, very loud. I measured them at 6 inches away at about 95 decibels playing Sand Hollow Light. As with any smartphone though, I wish they had more bass, but overall they're a big improvement over the OnePlus 6T. And that brings us to the triple camera setup on the back. We have a 48 megapixel main camera sensor with an f-stop of 1.6, and it has optical image stabilization. And then we have the 3x optical zoom. It's an 8 megapixel sensor with an f-stop of 2.4, which is actually pretty good for a 3x zoom lens. And then we have a wide angle. It's got an f-stop of f2.2, and it's a 16 megapixel sensor. Sadly, I forgot to transfer all the photos and videos off my OnePlus 7 Pro before I drop tested it, so I don't have those with me at the moment. But know that I've got another OnePlus 7 Pro coming in tomorrow, and I'll be doing a full camera test so you can see all of these issues that I'm talking about. So how good is the camera on the OnePlus 7 Pro? Overall, for taking still photos, it's pretty damn good. I still don't have the same level of trust in the OnePlus 7 Pro that I do in the iPhone XS Max, the Galaxy series, or the Google Pixel series, but it's a vast improvement over the previous generations, and the 48 megapixel sensor allows for some insane detail in well-lit environments. And then I really do prefer to have a 3x zoom over a 2x zoom like you get on a lot of the other flagships. That 3x zoom just allows you to really get in close to objects that you're trying to take a picture of. Sadly, the wide-angle camera didn't really impress me very much. It felt more tacked on. It just didn't take very sharp photos. A lot of them ended up being very soft. And then we have the 16 megapixel front camera, which was actually pretty impressive. I was able to take some really solid selfies with it. One of the big questions of a pop-up camera in general is how durable is it going to be when impacted in a fall? And I actually made a video about that. I drop tested it several times directly on the pop-up camera, and thankfully the pop-up camera is pretty durable. If you want to check out the full video, again, I'll have a link at the end of this video. Now the cameras overall scored a DxOMark score of 111, and I do trust DxOMark, but only for still photographs and not really for video quality, just because the DxOMark rating is heavily weighted towards photos. And then we're getting a number of software enhancements. We have Night Mode 2.0, a screen recorder tool, the RAM boost that I already mentioned, Zen Mode, which locks out your phone from you being able to use it except for taking photos, placing emergency calls, or receiving calls. It's a cool idea, though I don't think very many people will use it, but the people that will use it, I think, will really appreciate that feature. Okay, so that's all of the positives of this phone. Let's talk negatives. Why might you want to pass on this device? First of all, this device is going to have a mediocre battery life, especially compared to previous OnePlus devices. And there's two main reasons for that. A, we're getting a higher resolution display than we've ever had on a OnePlus device. And on top of that, it's a 90 Hz refresh rate. That increased refresh rate and resolution really is going to take a lot on the battery life. Think about 20 to 30% less overall compared to before. Now the good thing here is that if you know you're going to be away from a wall outlet for a while, you can reduce the refresh rate and you can reduce the resolution, so it's no big deal. Just know that if you have both settings set to max, you're looking at about 4 hours of screen on time. Now when I did the drop test on the OnePlus 7 Pro, I did also find out that this device is pretty fragile, and a big part of that is that we have a glass back on the device. And I think the really disappointing part about having the glass back is that we also don't have wireless charging, and in my opinion that's the #1 reason to go with the glass back, just because having a glass back makes the device more fragile, and if you're not getting any kind of benefit out of it, it's only a design aesthetic. Now even though this doesn't have wireless charging, it does have warp charging, which is a very quick charging. In about 20 minutes of charge, you can get about 50% of your battery life up, which is really nice, but it also requires you to use the OnePlus charger brick, which you might not always have with you if you're like at work or something. So just keep that in mind. And then we also don't have a headphone jack or a micro SD card slot, which I think is really sad because this is more of a mid-range device, and those two features really allow you to get more bang for your buck out of your smartphone. Another big downside for me is that the video mode really is not great on this smartphone. Despite the still images being really solid overall, I had weird video stabilization issues where when I was panning and turning, there was just little artifacts and glitches in the video stabilization. And two more downsides for the video mode is that the video mode cannot take advantage of the 3x optical zoom. Even though in video mode you can tap the 1x and it turns into a 3x, that's not really using the 3x optical zoom lens. That's just a 3x digital zoom, which I think is a really dumb idea. OnePlus put 3 cameras on the back and we can only use 1 for video. Come on, I mean, I'd really love to be able to use the wide angle camera and the 3x zoom camera. That would make the video mode a lot better on the device. The good thing here is that this is something that could be patched in software, so I hope OnePlus works on that and releases a camera update to add better video functionality. One last note about video mode is that when you're in selfie camera mode, the camera is actually really wide angle, but when you switch to video selfie mode, it crops in a lot. And I think this is because it's using digital image stabilization, so it just goes from here down to here. But selfie video mode would be so much better if they allowed for a wider perspective. So in conclusion, don't buy the OnePlus 7 Pro if any of the negatives I just mentioned are deal breakers for you, but if they are not, get it. This phone's amazing. The fluid 90 Hz display, the in-screen fingerprint reader, the bezel-less design, the massive display, the high resolution of the display, and the fact that you can take some really good still photos with it. So that's it for my review of the OnePlus 7 Pro. Please let me know what you think about this review. This is my first time posting one of my smartphone reviews on the main channel, and I appreciate some feedback. If you guys want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Brandon out.